So I'm going to ask a couple of questions, and please, if you have questions, prepare them and think about them. I just want to go back to the beginning. Falta, Ibrahim, Mohammed, how did you find them? And just take us back to how you began on this journey.
So, as I said before in the beginning, I've been working there since 2016. I always wanted to depict the life there, but I started with adults, and I spent 3 years developing project in that space with adults. But as I was moving forward and time was passing, I just felt it empty. And I met the two brothers first at the school. I went there to pay visit to the teacher, and then they was there playing in the courtyard with other students. But they was so vivid, and I asked to the teacher who they were, and he told me their story. I was like, yeah, definitely. It just I changed completely the narrative and started working with them. And they was in the same class with Falta. So that's how I connect. I started with Ibrahim and Mohammed, and later on I added Falta in main character, because I was when I started working with children, I was interested in depicting life from the perspective of children who have been kidnapped by Boko Haram, and also some who has been the victim, and somehow both sides they were still very impacted by the atrocities of Boko Haram. So that's how in one I had this clash, in the same class.
Approaching the children and their families, how you were able to say, I want to do this with you, and they were willing to say yes, and the shooting and the process of spending that time, what was that like? It was because of relationships you built, or being like, hey, I understand like what you're going through? How were you able to do that with them?
Mostly time. Like when I arrived there first, I arrived there because it's a very patriarchal society where women must know a place in all that microcosm. So when I arrived there, I arrived as a woman, respecting the elders, men, and with my place. I went there for research. I wanted to make a film. But as time passed, they was just kind enough to let me be. They was very impressed by the fact that I came there as women was educated, but at the same time following the rules, how women was living in the village. So step by step, they let me be, they accepted me. And with children, when I started working with children, it was the opposite. I became a child to approach them, so I was playing with them. And I remember one day Falta saying, like, she was laughing at me, saying, what kind of madam is playing with children? Because they was calling me madam. So, and from there, when I brought the camera to start filming, there was this natural transfer of power. I was not anymore a woman or a child playing with other child. I was the woman with a camera. And that imposed the respect when I put the camera and started shooting.
And you shot, I imagine, most of the film yourself. What was that process like when it changed? Now you have a camera. Did they perform for you a bit more? How did it feel?
So when I started shooting, like for scouting, I went 2 times on the field with a DOP. But what I felt was that there was a lot that was missing, because I was seeing and feeling something. Time for me to translate that to him, and him to even try to understand what I was looking for, that was gone. So after that, I just say to my producer that I know how to shoot film, so I'm going to try. And if you don't like what I'm bringing, okay, we will keep working with him. And when I took the camera, it just become natural because I was going for long takes. Like I was shooting for 15 to 30 minutes without cutting. And what I was doing, I was just finding a place where I could become invisible and let them be. I was giving them, for example, words like keywords. I was asking them to talk about school, or to talk about their dream, or how it was in terrorist in Boko Haram camp. So I was just giving keywords, and there was the one that was taking it and transforming it in the way that you can feel that there was no direction and even no censorship. And I think that really helped because I work in the environment where the voice of children is not heard. Like people don't care. Grown up people, person are quite more focused into how they are dealing with their own life, their own trauma, than to really pay attention to what is going on with their children. So I was the first person ever to ask that kind of questions to them. And they was just so naturally, they accepted to talk to me. And I felt that as a form of therapy for them, like talking about it and trying to move forward or to do something about their life, or even trying just to heal from that trauma.
You mentioned a patriarchal society. As a filmmaker, you know that the children have had this trauma. Did you feel any threat or fear as you're making this film?
Yes, even today in the village, you are not allowed to enter the village before 7 a.m. And you cannot leave the village after 5 p.m. So I was working under that rule, and in the village is quite. I had to be very precautious because I didn't know who was the enemy and who was the villager. As you can see, there is a scene there where they are putting people in the big truck. Most of the time, they ask me if they are displacing villagers. No, they are not villagers at all. Those are terrorists who surrender. And that was so frightening because they are just like regular people I was meeting. So I had to really take a lot of precaution before even going to the field. I had to send the correspondence to the governor service. Telling them that I will go there certain time, and they will send the emails to all the chiefdom, military camps, sous-prefecture. I don't know how you can call it in English. So before I arrived there, all the authorities were aware of my presence. And with military, it was quite like when I was arrived, I will go there to formally introduce myself, mostly to the military. Say, hey, if you see somebody, because it's a very sensitive zone, so if you see me and my team filming, this is the authorization of filming that I have, and that is putting me there, and this is the story I'm developing. And to film in the night, I was choosing, so I knew what day I would be filming the night, but I wasn't sharing that information. I was waiting the very last moment to say that we are going to sleep in the village to shoot in the night, and that I was informing the military guy, and they was taking disposition to secure the place where we were living. So.
When the boys disappeared, can you explain what that was like? It seems like, I don't know, very everyone accepted it, or was it, I don't know, worried or concerned? But what actually was going on when the boys couldn't be found and they were trying to figure out where they were?
So, like you will see in the film, it takes about 15 minutes for the moment they disappear to the moment we discover that they are alive. For me, it took me 8 months to know that they was not dead. And during all that time, I felt really terrible because I'm aquaphobic, and when I was 6, I almost drowned. And when they announced to me that those two kids that I was following and we was quite close, they passed away by drowning, I really take it personal, and it was very, very traumatic for me. And the thing is, like, they left because, as you can see, mostly the elder brother, he was growing up, he was becoming young adult, and he has needs that people was failing to understand or even to give to them. They needed a parental figure. They never had it. They was adopted when they was very little, and they don't have like whatsoever can be close to a mother, and they are always been looking for that, as they fail to provide any caring or love to them. They ran away, going in search of their mom. And when they came back, the thing is, like, although they are speaking common language with people of Kolofata, they are from Nigeria. You know, if you see, like, the border has been designed during the colonial time, but it's just lot of space with people speaking the same language. But it happened that some are in Cameroon and the other are in Nigeria. And when that happened, what my government did in a very brilliant way was that they have kids that they don't have resources to take care of. What they find to do was just to get rid of, like sending them back to Nigeria. And it happened so fast when they came out that before I could react, they was already deported to the Nigerian border. That's how my my country found a way to get rid of what was becoming a problem.
Wow. Are there any
Yeah.
questions here? Time for a couple of questions if you have them. Yes, here.
I wanted to ask you about the special forces that we see throughout the film, almost as like peripherally. And could you talk about how do they interact with the people of the village? Are they just doing their own thing, or how is that?
Yeah, like how they are working, they are there to secure the village, secure the perimeter. So the people that they are in direct contact with her, like the chiefdom, as you can see in the film. But most of the time, you will see them during the daylight. They are always wearing like mask and very heavy armed and doing what they are doing. It wasn't easy to approach them. Like since 2016, we had in that military camp 3 different colonels. Like the two first, they didn't even want to see my camera somewhere, even though I had the authorization to shoot in the village. All I was doing was like filming from the distance. And when I went for the the last shooting, um, there was a new colonel, and I went to him and asked again if I can film them exercising. And that one was quite different. He was open to my work. He was meloman. He was like this person who is not where he's supposed to be. And so and yeah, he went that way and he accepted me with the camera. But like you are seeing them like in the film and they seem very cooperative. They are a very deadly military branch in my country. They are trained to kill. They are not there to babysitting no one. When they send them somewhere, they are there to kill. And if they think that you are a terrorist, there are a lot of things that happened before me. I could have shot, but I was so paralyzed that I didn't shoot. So I was just there with the camera, but I couldn't. Yeah, they're like really doing what they're supposed to do to make that space clean and safe. So it's better to be their friend than to be their enemy.
Well said. I'm getting the time sign from over here in the corner. So if you'd have any last words that you'd like to say to the crowd, or what you'd like to say.
Yeah, so I have an update about the two brothers. Like 2 weeks ago, we finally found them, and we brought them back to Cameroon. And they told us that in all those years they found their mom. So I sent actually a team with them to Nigeria to meet their mom, and I will be in contact with their mom. So that's what happened.
Beautiful. Round of applause, please. Cyrielle
Thank you.
Raingou, the Spectre of Boko Haram. Awesome film.
Thank you very much.